Alright, this is Andrew Jelly with Joda Home Inspections. We're here today at 1641 Staker Circle in Salt Lake City doing a sewer scope. Today is September 9th, 2020. We've got the camera pushed all the way out to the city connection. Now we're going to record it and pull it back and see what we find. So this first connection point is called the nose on. That's where it goes from your lateral line into the main city line. This one looks good. Looks like you have proper connection. You're actually dropping into the line, kind of towards the top, which is good because if the city line were to back up, it makes it a little harder to back up into your line. On the left side of the screen, that's a root. You're going to see a lot of those as I pull it back, especially going through this clay. I'm going to give the water just a minute to finish running. This is either clay or transite is what it looks like to me. Hopefully I'll have a better idea as I pull it back. Transite is a cement asbestos pipe. It's kind of white like what you're seeing on the screen. Clay generally has more of a red tint to it. So far I'm not seeing a lot of standing water, which is good. That indicates that you have proper grade and then it's draining on its own with gravity. It's a fairly average sized sewer line as far as length. I had to reset my camera about halfway through, and so I don't have the actual footage count, but it's probably right around 100 feet or so. Little tiny offset there. An offset is where you have a lip. So as you're coming down the sewer line and you have a transition in the pipe to another piece of pipe, sometimes it'll flip and you'll get that lip that you're seeing on the bottom of the screen. That can allow waste to get caught, which can lead to a backup. That's definitely far from the worst that I've seen as far as offsets go. Still something to be aware of. There's another root. Once you have roots, you're always going to have roots, and that'll be something you need to maintain in the future. Otherwise, they'll keep growing and it'll block in the line, which can catch on debris and create a backup. Some more. They're not huge yet. I would ask the seller if they've had to have them cleaned out frequently in the past, especially one like that right on the bottom. That can catch a piece of debris, which once it gets caught, it can just catch on more and more debris and create a blockage. So it's hard to really estimate how often you should get them done because they grow at different rates, and then even small roots can catch on things, but some people do it every 6 months, some people do it every couple years. Every house is different. So just transition to cast iron. Cast iron is going to be the weakest link. If you look at the pipe on the screen now, you can see how it's very rough and rusty. What happens is the cast iron will rust over time, and that can actually catch on debris, kind of like an offset. Once it catches on debris, it can create a backup. It also gets thinner and thinner over time. The cast iron will just flake and flake. one option to help prevent a blockage is to have it picoted. Picote is when they use a chain cutter and they cut off a thin layer of the cast iron, and that makes it very smooth. Another option is a liner. Eventually cast iron will need to be replaced. This house being built in the 60s, I've certainly seen houses in the 60s already replace their cast iron or get a liner, but I've also seen cast iron from the 20s or even a little earlier still in use. It didn't look good, but it can last for many decades. Now we're just coming up the stack. I access the line from the stack on the roof. You have another access point in the basement, but it's hidden behind a kitchen cabinet. That's not good to cover an access point. If you ever wanted to access the line, you either have to cut the cabinet and modify it, or remove it. So just to recap, you have some cast iron, and then that's for about half the pipe, and then you have, I still couldn't tell if it was clay or if it was transite. But in either case, you had a couple minor offsets, none that looked horrible, but even those small ones can cause issues in some cases. And then you have some roots. The roots weren't huge, but definitely something you want to keep in mind so that you can have it cleaned out as time goes on, or you could do it now as a precaution. I think they're still on the smaller side, but you never can be too safe. So I'm going to end this recording now.